Welcome to Training Insights, Episode 12. Hi, and welcome to Episode 12 of Training Insights, brought to you by Training Magazine. Go to trainingmag.com. My name's Kevin McGowan, and today we're speaking with somebody else actually based in my area, in Ottawa, Ontario. She has two very specific niches that she works in, and she's a trainer, she's a training developer. And her name is Kristine St. Pierre, and she works primarily, niche number one, with police and military, folks who are being deployed to war zones or conflict areas around the world. So that's one niche, but her other niche is she trains them on gender equality. And so I wanted to know a lot more about how she approaches the subject, how she trains that, and the benefits of that, and how the message of gender equality can be transmitted to other parts of the world. It's really interesting. I hope you find it interesting. So before I give any more details away, here is my phone conversation with Kristine St. Pierre.
And Kristine St. Pierre, welcome to Training Insights.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure to have you. You have a very unique experience. I don't know a lot of people with your training background, so I'm excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited as well.
Am I buttering you up too much? You work in police and military organizations, focusing a lot on gender issues, gender training. Can you tell me a bit first how you got into that specialty?
Yes. Well, as you mentioned, it's quite a narrow field. So I've been doing this for about a bit more than 10 years, and it started out being very focused on peacekeeping. And as you may know, the large number of peacekeepers are police and military, or are from the police organizations and military organizations. And so the training, I started out mostly doing research on peacekeeping, peace operations, UN, NATO, so very peace and security focused. Mm-hmm. And then it slowly transitioned with the organizations that I was working with. It transitioned into developing training and delivering training. And then over the years as well, it focused even more on what is called gender training. As well, within the UN context, there are some specific, I won't get into it too much, but specific resolutions by the UN Security Council that talk about women, peace, and security. And so that is very tied to the promotion of gender equality within peacekeeping organizations. And so that's kind of how I started, and then over the years it evolved in terms of working specifically with the police organizations themselves, or the military organizations themselves. So instead of focusing on the peacekeeping side and the deployment, which I still do, but a lot of it now is working with the policing structures, police and military, but a lot of the work that I do is police-centric. Okay. So that would be a bit of background.
It's fascinating because you've kind of got two niches kind of piled on top of each other here, right? You've got military, which is or military and policing, peacekeeping, which is kind of a niche. Not a lot of trainers necessarily in that field, millions in high tech and real estate or whatever, but that's unique. But the gender issue is also unique. How I can maybe assume, but I don't want to. Like, why would this be a passion for you?
Oh goodness. Well, it started. A passion. I think. Certainly in terms of working, and gender is obviously both women and men, but given that we're talking about policing and military organizations, which are, in and of themselves much more male dominated and have integrated women over the years, and whether we're talking about Canada or in other parts of the world, it's a similar process in terms of wanting to increase the representation of women and ensuring that women are accessing higher positions and things like that. I think my passion really began when I started meeting these women and working with them specifically, and looking at their challenges, but also their passion for their work, and trying to work with them and with leaders within those organizations, and then trying to change or impart some greater awareness. I think that's really where the passion began, and obviously a passion for developing and delivering training. That's for sure.
Right. So you've got a few aspects of it there for sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious too, when you go into, say, a police organization, how do you end up there? Is this a case often where, okay, we have a culture? Is it kind of maybe a change management thing, or is it a culture supporting the culture? We want to make sure everybody is supporting this line of thinking, or is it because that maybe there's been an issue, there's been a problem they want to resolve and impact through some kind of change management or training process?
Well, I have to say most of the work that I've been doing up until now has been with other organizations, so as part of a project or a program.
Okay.
So it hasn't been.
You're not going in there on your own.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think so at this point. So, for example, I'm part of a project now that works, that seeks to assist the National Police of Ukraine in kind of, in its reform, in its capacity building, capacity development. And so my role as part of that project is to ensure that we, integrate gender and promote gender equality as part of everything that we do. So in terms of if we're developing specific training, we're also looking at governance structures and working with the Ukrainian police in devising policies and procedures. We're also implementing different initiatives. So ensuring that we're considering gender as part of everything that we do. Okay. Another example would be the RCMP. So that's more tied to peacekeeping. So what I've been doing for the past 2 years is providing training that's specific to gender as well as gender and police reform, providing that training to officers that are deploying abroad.
Interesting.
Whether it's peacekeeping or other. Go ahead.
So you're in. I'm just assuming you're in a room or virtual room or something, but you're in a space with a bunch of officers who are going to be deployed somewhere. What would be a couple of objectives maybe of a typical training course that you might be delivering or have designed for that?
Yes. So most of those trainings are fairly similar. So for example, if some officers are deploying to Haiti with the UN mission there, others would be, for example, going to Ukraine as part of a bilateral agreements between Canada and Ukraine. So both of these deployments, even though one is UN and one is more bilateral, in both of these deployments, officers would be involved in supporting the local or the national police, so the Haitian National Police or the Ukrainian National Police. So part of the training will be, first of all, understanding what are we talking about. So all the gender concepts. What are we talking about when we're saying gender equality, equity? What are different kind of understanding that women, men, boys, and girls have different experiences and different needs, and that, you know, the roles that are imposed by society on men and women will impact how men and women, their lived experiences. Mm-hmm. And so those trainings are specific to policing organizations. And so it's with these officers, because they've lived in Canada and they've worked in Canada, a lot of them have experiences in terms of, you know, having seen inequality, having worked on cases of, let's say, sexual violence, addressing sexual violence within the community, working with both men and women specifically. And so it's also creating kind of a common understanding and bringing those experiences to the forefront so that they are able to to identify them as let's say, as part of promoting gender equality, or having them understand their, you know, what they've experienced, or what they see. And then they're hopefully better able to mentor or advise once they arrive in the country.
Right. And that was maybe going to be my last question, actually. She kind of segued nicely. The role of this is to, you know, enable these people to kind of pass along that knowledge in other parts of the world, which is a great thing. What is the risk of not doing this kind of training before the deployment?
Well, the importance of having this training is, I mean, there are a number of reasons. One, we want to make sure that when we're deploying, or when officers, military or police, or even civilians are deploying, that they understand that whatever they do, whatever initiative, program, policy they put in place will have an impact on men, women, boys, and girls. But it's important to understand that this impact will be different. And so we need to understand, or we all need to understand how the experiences and the needs of the community at large, including, you know, separately women, men, boys, and girls, and then to better respond and to ensure that our initiatives are much more targeted so that everyone can benefit. Often, you know, people have very good intentions and will come up with an initiative that they think will have a positive impact on everyone. But if you don't understand how men and women are within the society, the dynamics in terms of, you know, power dynamics, or if you don't go further in your analysis and ask, you know, who benefits, who doesn't, then your initiative may not actually be beneficial for all. And the inequality that is already there may just widen even more. So that's one of the main objectives, is really to ensure that whatever we do, whatever we promote, is beneficial for everyone, and specifically, disaggregated, everyone disaggregated, so men,
right.
women, boys and girls, as well as different communities as well, or kind of vulnerable or marginalized communities within that community. And another objective is also promoting, our Canadian values and of equality. It's and I want to make sure that it's not imposing, but it's through the work that the police or military or civilians are doing in terms of, advising, mentoring, working with partners. It's showing the positives in how equality can really bring the benefits to all.
Excellent. Well, Kristine, that's a wonderful place to leave it. That was so well said. I'll just leave it right there. I have no further questions.
Well, hopefully that was hopefully that can bring some awareness.
I hope so, and just want to say thanks very much. Really appreciate the time.
Well, thank you very much.
And that was my conversation with Kristine St. Pierre. She's based here in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. She's not just a trainer and training developer. She does a lot. I mean, she's active in the community. She's a mom, but she's also a singer-songwriter. If you happen to be kind of curious, go to KristineStPierre.com and you can hear her sing some really amazing stuff too. But if you want to learn more about Kristine and her gender equality training, you can track her down on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks to folks at Training Magazine for working on this with me. And I hope you can drop by my website maybe as well. Go to kevinmcgowan.ca and you can get in touch with me if you have any suggestions, comments, complaints, whatever, hair tips, anything. I'm open to all and any feedback. If you're even interested in being on the podcast, I'd be happy to connect with you as well. So go to kevinmcgowan.ca. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.